Our judgments lead us to the construction of our in-laws. In-laws are the laws that you imagine the God you have made and committed yourself to has formulated. These paradigms and beliefs, whether false or accurate, become the governing factors in our physical expression, leading us to act, to wait, to panic, or to rest. We adopt these beliefs unconsciously, often as our minds are powerful processors we are not yet able to understand. It's estimated that our brain processes around 11 million bits of information per second. However, we are only consciously aware of about 40 to 50 bits per second. This means that the vast majority of information, over 99.99%, is processed outside of our conscious awareness. You don't get tired of talking to people who pretend that they know everything about themselves. You don't get tired of talking to people who are sleeping and cannot see because of an inner blindness to their own dysfunction in ways that they've walked in as a zombie for decades. As that you try to point out or show them the error of such a way, and they pretend that you are the issue and that what you see in them is being projected from your inner dysfunction, and you must be out your mind to try to correct them. Understand, you will lose your head trying to correct somebody that did not ask for it. Stop trying to help people that didn't ask for your help. The supernatural spiritual journey is one of choice. You do not progress down this path because somebody else drug you, or somebody else wanted you, or somebody else prayed that you would come. The only way you make actual progress down the path of the spiritual, supernatural, divine element of yourself is for you to drop the desire for all the other things that you have wanted, and for you to begin to desire to see yourself, see the world, and see your Creator in its truth and in its entirety. And so begins the journey, the inevitable journey, the unstoppable journey from within, directing and dictating your path into truth, alignment, freedom, purpose, and destiny. But we don't be knowing what be going on. And I'm not finna argue with nobody. At any point, you walk up and you ask somebody why they're going through what they're going through, and they're gonna give you a reason. It's gonna be a scientific reason, but if you ask to see the research, if you ask to see the data, you would find that they use some type of biased, unstable way of calculating their findings, and the conclusion that they have come to is compromised. And it really just matches the hypothesis that they entered in, and they bent the information, the data, and the analytics so that the hypothesis and the conclusion could match. And the whole project need to be thrown out. Everything that you used to build your paradigms in the past was built on faulty temporal information that wasn't even true, wasn't even real, and only had such a meaning as you applied it to you. And that's why it left you with such in-laws. It left you with such a wicked law, such a tough and such a rigorous law on the inside of you that keeps you conflicted, keeps you convicted, keeps you in shame, keeps you walking in guilt, keeps you with something to do on the inside of you because something is always wrong with you and needs to be fixed. And you are the only person who knows what is wrong, and you're the only one who knows how to fix it, even though you're the one who can't stop doing it. It is a silly game of tit for tat, back and forth with your reflection. If you were as smart as you pretended to be, you wouldn't rely on your imaginary friend to get you through the most crucial points in your life. You wouldn't end up in chaotic, catastrophic circumstances and turn around and return back to the same state of mind that created the chaos and look for a solution inside of it. You wouldn't do such a thing. You only do such a thing because you walk in ignorance and you don't know that it was you who weaved together such an uncomfortable experience in the physical that you decided to run back into your mind and into the recepts of your brain and try to find a way out. Never even realizing inside of the panic and inside of the desperation that you operate from, that you return to the very murderer to help you flee from being a victim. You went back to the culprit. You went to a robber and asked the robber to keep your treasures safe. The very one you trust, your ego, this imaginary you that you make out to be whoever you need it to be in any given moment because you just lie to yourself out of habit, not out of enjoyment. You don't enjoy it. You enjoy the effects of it. You enjoy walking in the ignorance of not knowing or not being conscious or pretending not to know what you're doing is completely erroneous. And in many cases, absence of the good that you have been formulated from and formulated for. You were created for good. You are good. You are designed perfect. You've been good since the beginning. The hands that were utilized to create you figuratively were good hands. That's a good father that created a good creation to extend good to. Come on now. It wasn't supposed to. Where did all of the evil come from? Where did all of the wickedness come from? Where did all of the plans for darkness and harm come from? Other than an absence of awareness to the truth of the nature of the Father and the Father's creations. What else other than an absence of awareness of the purpose and design of the very creation of the Creator? It's bad enough that we create these in-laws for ourselves to follow and then judge ourselves when we fall short and miss the mark, as if we are the governing voice in our life when it comes to what the mark is and missing it. Understand that the mark was set before you ever came into existence in the physical. Understand that you don't get to decide what sin is. You don't get to decide what upsets and offends your Creator. You don't get to come in and say, yeah, I understand that in the scriptures and in the text, it says that the carnal mind never subjects itself to the spirit. And I understand that my spirit is called to be one with the spirit of truth. And I understand that there is a battle, a war that will always take place. But I also find myself every time I fall short, or every time I entertain a carnal mindset, or every time I find myself in a situation and I exhibit or express that I have a carnal mind as well as I am on the inside of myself, I find myself judging, critiquing, and condemning myself as if I have done something that has outcasted or put me out of the fellowship or the experience of love from my Father, because I don't know what love is. I come from a world where parents will go so far and then become frustrated with their own circumstances. I come from a world where you can have a father present or have a father absent and still live with the same reality of having to figure things out on your own because the communication or the proximity is broken. That's the world we come from. We don't come from the world of ideal. We don't come from the world of perfection. We don't come from, that's not where our attention comes from. We've forgotten the first world. We've forgotten our original birthplace. We've forgotten our hometown. We've forgotten the heart of our Father. We've forgotten the nature of our Father. We don't even remember what it's like for the only answer we ever receive for any question that we ask to be yes and more. We've grown too familiar with the no's, the maybes, the silence. There is not one single human being that does not know how to pout. And there is not one single human being in this world that has never pouted. The issue is pouting in your childhood had its place. But a lot of adults, a lot of students in the attempt to obtain something that has already been given freely to them that they only must stir from within, in an attempt to obtain truth, they still operate with many childish ways. One being pouting. So, another example, the silent treatment. For you to pretend that you don't understand the self-centered nature of the silent treatment is a complete display of the blindness that comes accompanied with being led by the ego. You think that you are so enjoyable. You are such a blast, such a pleasure to the environment around you, that when anybody offends you or does something that you just don't like, the simple removal of your voice and interaction your engagement, your friendship, your connection, your receptivity is supposed to inspire them to do something that they don't want to do, or inspire them to undo something that they desired for themselves that you had identified as not good for you, but explained it to them as why it wasn't good for them. You need to stop acting like that. You are a vessel of love, and anytime you operate in a way that conflicts with your identity, you suffer for it. I understand that you're trying to get other people to suffer, but you'll never know if they're suffering, even if they are. But you know who is suffering? You, the person who is operating opposite of his or her design, the